Yes. Thank you. Welcome to another great show of APN TV Media. We have a lot in store for you today. Your author, publisher, network. And today we have returning guest. His name is Eric Johnson. Yes. Some of you have been here have seen him before. Those of you, the reviewers, wow, called it reviewers now. Viewers and reviewers. Thank you. Viewers, reviewers, and readers have checked out Eric Johnson, especially this new one. Well, this one came out just last year, called the Folkore Cookbook. And, you know, for me, on the Folkore Cookbook, there's 4 things that we're going to talk about. I mean, let's want to talk about more than that. But there's some key points that I want to address to him. And one of them, I want y'all to, if you're eating right now, hey, do me a favor. You might want to put your plate down, okay? And it has to involve with smells. But other than that, everything else, oh my gosh, it's just, the appetite, oh my good. You know what, I tell you what, let's gather up that appetite and I'll see you right back after this. How about that? Yes, yes. Welcome back. Eric, pleasure having you back on the show again. On the Folkore Cookbook this time. You've written so many books.
Folkore Cookbook is the compilation of all of the 3 tales from the cookbooks that I've written. So last time I was on here, and by the way, thank you for having me again. I really appreciate it because this show is a lot of fun to be on.
Thank you.
So I had said that we reviewed and talked about my second culinary Folkore Cookbook, and I had a first one. You said, oh, come back and let's talk about that one. But at that time I was also completing my third one. So I completed the third one in the year since I was here last, but then it occurred to me that I should probably put them all together in one book for ease of reading, so everything's right there. And here it is. It's the Folkore Cookbook.
Well, did you in the Folkore Cookbook? Did you you it seemed like you carefully selected certain ones? I mean, the way it's, to me, I feel like it's in order, even though it doesn't make any sense. How can a cookbook be in a certain order or in a certain way? But the way, like for example, the first one that we're going to be talking about in there is I call it biscuits.
Right, which is King Arthur's Crunchy Biscuits. Well,
yes.
That's the first story in the book because in this genre that I've written, that's the first story I wrote. And
it just gravitates.
Yeah.
You know what? What do you think? Should we start with the King Arthur? How's it pronounced? I mean, King Arthur's Crunchy Biscuits. King Arthur's Crunchy Biscuits. What do you think? Okay, let's do it. Okay. All right. Tell us about the. Wait a minute. Before you tell us, I'm going to do this. I am going to go to these crunchy biscuits here, and let me take these off. I'm going to put my readers on, and oh my goodness, because see. Sometimes people say, I want to wear my glasses, and then I think about when we're going to eat something, I want to know what I'm eating. So, or going to make. Now here, I'm going to share some with you. The ingredients is 2 3/4 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 teaspoon baking soda, half teaspoon. Am I saying that right? Teaspoon or tablespoon?
Teaspoon.
TSP. Okay, it's TSP. Yeah. And tablespoon is?
TSPB.
TSPB. Okay. Baking soda, half teaspoon baking powder, 1 cup butter, softened, 1 1/2 cup sugar, and 1 large egg, and 1 teaspoon vanilla extract. And this is how I want to share. It says, okay, while on biscuits here, while little information remains about the biscuits, we do know the court of Arthur's kitchen didn't have sugar as we know it today. I was thinking about that with the sugar.
Right.
Okay. Refined all-purpose flour or even vanilla. You know, it's funny you use the term refined all-purpose flour. Well, they did use flour back then.
They did use flour, but they didn't have the refining technology that we do today. So the reason for the instructions in the description of the book is that because I was being catty and coy with it. It was just fun to write it that way. So the recipe ingredients didn't actually exist during the time of King Arthur's court. So what I did is it's an approximation of the imagined recipe. Particularly, this recipe is a cookie recipe that I've been making since I was about 6 or 7 years old. And the term biscuits, to clarify, is that if you're having tea and biscuits in England, they're referring to cookies, as we call here in America. So it's the biscuits are cookies if you're here in America.
England. The biscuits?
Yes, biscuits are cookies to the English.
Yes.
Or other way around.
The biscuits are cookies.
Yes.
The biscuits are cookies in England, London, England. Okay.
Yes.
And here,
we call them cookies.
We call them cookies.
Right. But since it was King Arthur.
No. We call them biscuits.
I'm calling them biscuits, but it's actually my cookie recipe. So let's say you and I fly off to England.
Okay. So these biscuits is actually cookies.
Yes.
So the biscuits here are actually cookies here.
Yes. I know it's a little wordplay there.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
Let me open that door on the wordplay because let me finish this part here because I love it. Let's see, vanilla. Let's say refined all-purpose flour or even vanilla. Vanilla came to Europe from South and Central America.
Yes.
Several hundred years after Arthur.
Right.
Here's a recipe updated to modern methods. So the vanilla extract, vanilla came to Europe and from South and Central America.
Right, because
So we brought it to Europe.
Yes, the Spanish came to America and they discovered things like nutmeg and chili peppers and tomatoes and potatoes and vanilla, of course. And they brought it back to Europe. And of course, in speculation of when King Arthur was actually ruler, but of course he's a mythological figure. So we think maybe around 800 to 1100 AD. I'm not quite sure when they place him, but it was long before the Spanish came to the Americas and brought back vanilla. So that's why I say that.
No, but it's good. It's educational too as well. I mean, not just a recipe, but it's educational. This is real. This part here.
The recipe is absolutely real.
And about the vanilla coming from to Europe from America.
I love mixing fact and fiction.
Yeah, it's very good. We shared that in the first time you was on the air with us.
Yeah.
Yes, fact and fiction.
It is.
Especially with the folklore tales.
Right.
And then you put in the recipes to kind of graft the interweave, not just interweave, but interwoven it and to such a way. But there's something else that you've done, and I want to share this. Something else that you've done. It was, I believe it's like caste, C-A-S-T-E, or is it still pronounced that way?
Yeah.
Cast sugar and butter into thy bowl. Whip it forthright least it speak in tongues. You know what? I wonder if it said, least it speak in tongues like one possessed.
Yes.
Whence screamed, mingle all that be left together, roll it like a lover through hay and cut slices like a fair persimmon red with heat. Put to flame and serve to thy queen with generous scoops of ice cream.
Yes.
You know what's funny is you have the old King James. But I love the poetic way that is written. So not only that is the folklore tales, which is good, but you also added an extra emphasis into. You have a poetic ability. You may not even realize it with your. I don't want to say ingredients. You're a chef.
I am a chef.
So the style of your cooking.
Right.
You bring it to life by adding a story to it.
Well, I like to add flair.
And then yes, that's what you got flair to it.
Right.
And you may not even realize it. Your flair, it's a gift. It's a natural.
So many recipes out there are infantilized, meaning that anybody could cook them, and they read like just a basic instruction book. But where's the fun in that? Add 1 cup of this, add a spoon of that. It's not any fun. So let's add some fun to it because, my opinion, people don't cook enough for themselves. And one of the key things that people should do for many reasons, health, weight loss, etc., is that if you don't know how to cook yourself and you're eating processed foods all the time, what kind of life is that? I mean, and that comes from the deep heart of a foodie, because it's such a wonderful skill to have. Because from the time that our species started getting together, we got together to eat mainly. We spent our times gathering food and cooking and eating to survive. And at that point, we're talking, we're together, we're bonding. And if you don't cook and you just pop food in a microwave, where's the socialization in that? Don't spend 5 minutes with your family for dinner. Spend half an hour. Spend an hour. It's important to me. And so stories like this I like to tell my family as we eat dinner, because it's entertaining. It brings forth conversation. My kids say, "You're making up stuff, Dad," and I say, "Yes, I am." But it gives them something to hang on to when they go off into the world and they have children themselves. So they'll go, "God, my dad did this," and I think that would be great, because this is going to get a little deep, but you only live long as you're remembered, is what I live by. And so do something memorable with your life. And this is what I've chosen to do.
Wow. Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
I definitely love it. I think I share with you because your name is Eric. My brother's name is Eric, but he has a K on the end because he was my family that my mother, my brother, my other brother did too. When they worked for Donald Trump. Well, in Eric's case, in Atlantic City, he worked for Donald Trump as a sous chef at the Taj Mahal before they closed down.
Okay.
And you have that passion. I often see when real true chefs have a passion, and I get to watch the families. Like when I went to his house, and the way you cook, you can't help it. You cook in a certain way. Do you? I'm gonna ask you this. I think I asked you before about this. Do you eat? How do you serve your own plate? And when you're home, you're a sous chef, and you're home, and you're cooking for everybody. Well, because you're always cooking for everybody.
Exactly. I mean, it depends. I mean, some days we do the full spread at the table. Other days the kids have more homework than other days, and so we do something quickly. I mean, pretty much like everybody else. But if it's a special occasion, like
but do you eat before you get to the table, or do you, eat a little dish or something before you get to the table?
No.
Or do you?
Well, I mean, I taste what I'm cooking. Just
that's tasting is one thing.
Right.
But sometimes
do I eat before I sit down with my family? No,
usually,
never.
So you're not really full or not? Because my brother used to do that. He, when I go to his house for dinner,
we call that chef's privilege.
Oh, I heard that before.
So,
yes.
Yeah. So you're actually eating as you're cooking, and that is a curse and a blessing in the same moment, because as you get into the habit of working in restaurants, what you do is you're tasting everything constantly, and you find that you go days without actually sitting down and eating a meal when you work in restaurant business. So. Because you're full, you're always tasting, because the chef's going to come by and say, "Would you serve that to your mother?" And you'll say, "Yes, chef." Or if you say, "No, chef," he's going to show you the door. And so, but when it comes to being outside of the restaurant, you're going to have friends over, you're going to entertain. Of course, you're going to nibble a little bit, but it's a social occasion because everybody's nibbling. So, hey, try this. Hey, try this. This is a preview of what we're going to have for dinner, or a preview of what we're going to have on the barbecue, So because you want to please people, it's I don't know, it's a joy to make people happy. That's the thing. Ultimately, people who work in restaurants, chefs, sous chefs, line cooks, when they cook, they're cooking to make people happy because it's what we like to do.
Yes, very good, very good. Yeah, college wonderment out there. I mean, I bet it was chef privileges, and the thing about it is, you nibble, but the nibbling actually makes, after a while, you're full. And I was wondering, if you do that, are you still able to eat with everybody at the table, or
I
not?
can always eat.
Oh,
I can eat and eat. I mean, I love eating. I mean, you get that flavor combination.
What about the decorating? The kind of,
like the garde, the actual creation and building up of a plate. Yeah, I do that sometimes.
Just at home too.
Oh yeah, of course.
Oh my God.
Because I want to impress my wife.
I was going to say that. That's got to be, yes.
I want to make my children go, "God, I missed that. I should do that too." Because again, looping back to the importance, my thoughts of importance of cooking is that's how I'm going to do it. I'm not going to sit there and tell them. I'm going to lead through example. Because actions speak louder than words, and that's my philosophy on that.
Thank you. Now I know we've been stuck on the King Arthur Crunchy Biscuits,
right.
But Did you want to have anything to add about the folklore itself?
Well, yeah, actually. So the reason why I started writing these stories is that years ago, a friend of mine's mother, she made the world's best pickles, and I badgered her for years about her recipe. And then one day she said, well, the secret is, and I said, yes, please tell me, I've been waiting for years. She told me she watered her pickling cucumber plants with vodka. And that was her reason for having such wonderful homemade pickles. I thought that was great. It was a family folklore story. And when I had children, I thought, well, I've got picky eaters. Let's use story to try to influence them, you know, to get them to try new foods. Like Little Miss Muffet with curds and whey. I said, hey guys, I've read you this, this nursery rhyme a million times. What do you think curds and whey are? And they would say, I don't know. I said, well, let's find out. And so I started using stories to introduce them to new foods. And as time progressed, I ran out of stories because there's only, 500 nursery rhymes out there. Not all related to food. Many are. So I started researching folklore stories, and I wasn't satisfied with the number of food-related folklore stories, and so I decided to start writing my own. And so my thesis is influencing food selection through storying. So by telling a story, I'm going to try to entice you to get you to try, snails, as you mentioned earlier. Which
you took us to that.
Right.
You took us to that one. And I tell you what, before we go into our PSA, you know what? Do this. When you get a chance to, if you have any questions for our chef, Eric Johnson, you can go to our Facebook. You can go to our Facebook at APN TV Media. If you have any questions for him, by all means, you can go ahead and ask, and that way, you can conversate and get some little communication there, especially, far as the food goes, unless any other questions you may have. So again, you can go to our Facebook at APN TV Media. That's what I say. I'm going to say apntvmedia.com.
Yes.
Or to our television website. But Facebook is easier for everybody that's already there. They can gravitate to
Facebook is a
you.
Great platform to communicate with
You got
questions.
it.
Yeah.
You got it. And on that note, we'll be right back after this. Yes, yes. Welcome back. Well, guess what? Grab onto your waste baskets and hold onto your seats, because guess what we're going to talk about? Snails. And snails, if nobody knew about in the universe of our world, is escargot.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. May 24th is National Snail Day. And
May 24th, National Snail Day.
National Snail Day. So, they're considered a delicacy by, well, once many, probably very few. I'm one of the ones who actually loves snails. From the time I was a kid, I've made them. I can remember, I think I was probably 8 years old. My mom said, "We're eating snails." And I went, "No way." And then she made them, and I became a believer.
Okay.
So
now let me get to the wastebasket part. Okay, in L.A., let's say not just Los Angeles, but LAX in general. Okay, Los Angeles Airport, International Airport. At LAX, if anybody been to LAX and during the very warm to hot summer, snails will actually crawl on the ground for a cool out period. To
Yes.
cool. And if anybody has walked around the outskirts and the outside of LAX, walking, okay, on the sidewalks, you'll see snails everywhere. Big old snails just
not
slime
just
walking.
slime walking.
Slime walking everywhere. Now hold that thought. And then now we come back and he just said that they were eating snails. Does that sound kind of wild? But I don't think it's picking snails up from the ground, though. The side.
Well, it depends on where you are.
Oh, my gosh. You know what? Now I'm starting to get a little icky on this. But you said it's good.
Snails
right?
are wonderful.
Snails are wonderful.
You braise them with a little bit of white wine and shallots and salt and pepper and garlic, and then you stuff them back in their shells and cover them with garlic butter and then roast them for, 425 degrees for about 25 minutes.
Wait a minute. You take them out the shell?
Right, and you pre-cook them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You pre-cooked them.
Right, because
All right.
snails are very tough unless they're pre-cooked.
That sounds like lobsters. When if it cooks too much, it
It's
becomes rubber.
Yes.
Oh, I hate the taste of that rubber. I mean, you have to know what you're doing.
I'm
You
planning
really
on having lobster for dinner tonight.
Oh, you are?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. I had about, I think a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
I used to hang out. Red Lobster is my hangout, actually.
Right.
And I love lobster. But it's when they overcook it and it becomes rubbery.
Yeah.
And I had to tell them, no, I can't eat this because,
No, you send it back. I mean, you're paying $25-$30 for a lobster, and if it's not right,
yes.
you get what you pay for. And if the cook is not up to it, I've been known to barge into restaurant kitchens and say, "What are you guys doing?" I go, "Don't you know how to cook? Where's the chef?" I may have been escorted out of a few restaurants, but I'm that kind of guy because I'm passionate. If I go to a restaurant, I want something that is good, especially when I'm paying.
Yes. Now, do all of you hear this, right? All of you hear this? What's he doing? It's sharing with us, actually, there's another side to this etiquette for restaurants. The chef is sharing us with something.
Right.
We're being the ones coming in, just like he did, coming into a restaurant to sit at the table. I like that there's a two-way, I'll say a two-way platter.
I've been known to be a little bit of a troublemaker,
Well, you say you get what you paid for, right?
Right.
So you know what? If we're going to pay all that money to get a certain type of food, we expect to get it.
Exactly.
Expect to get it. That reminds me. Is it Dolvita? Not Dolvita. There was a restaurant. I can't remember. Dulce or something. There was a restaurant I've went to. Why is that coming to my mind?
Is it a Michigan restaurant?
Yes, down the road here in Monroe, next to Panera Bread. There's Panera Bread. There's Nino's. There's Nino's Panera Bread. Next to Nino's, there's a Dolvita or
I
Dulce
wouldn't
or
know. I may have been born here in Michigan, but I moved to California for 30 years, and I moved back a year ago.
Oh.
So,
okay.
I
Oh no, they serve. No, it's a compliment.
Oh.
They serve. It was. I've got an expensive plate, a small plate of shrimp.
Right.
They did it up, the sautéing, I call it the cosmetics, with the lacing of the syrups or whatever it is they put across it and everything, and throw a little couple of doilies on the side, with a nice bottle of wine.
Yeah.
Oh my
Can't beat
gosh.
that. Yeah.
Oh, I was in heaven. I just wanted.
Right.
It was just and it's a small plate, but it cost, and I think it was 5 or 6 shrimp.
Yeah.
But nice sized ones.
It's
So
expensive.
Yes, versus going to if you expect to get little what is it, White Castles or or maybe Long John Silver is the next step up. But that's a whole different animal of getting shrimp versus going to a restaurant.
Oh, absolutely.
So in a restaurant, you are supposed to get what you pay for.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
Go
do
ahead.
a little snail talk.
That's
So-
a good thing. Okay.
So I've been to LAX, and the snails are everywhere, but they're everywhere through California. Somebody said, hey, this is the perfect climate to raise these because they're a delicacy. This may have been in the 1880s when they imported snails from France.
But are those the same snails?
They are the same snails, and they're the bane of every gardener from Northern California to Southern California because they eat everything. So do you just pick them up off the ground and eat them? Some people do. I have. But the trick is that, this is going to sound gross, but you have to feed them cornmeal for a couple days to clean out their intestinal tracts because you don't know what they've been eating.
Wait a minute. Okay, didn't really thought about it. So you mean to tell me for the escargot
Yes.
put together, you get the snails.
Yes.
You don't kill them off yet.
No.
We're actually cultivating them in a way to get them it's like feeding cows or
You mean like the Kobe beef where they give the cow a beer and...
or how they.
Yeah.
So you can, you know what? You're teaching us something else. Whatever you feed an animal or a creature,
Yeah.
the chemistry changes, the meat changes,
Yes.
and down to a snail
Absolutely.
changes as well. So whatever we feed them, exactly what we're going to be, the kind of taste and the flavor they're going to become.
You are what you eat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
wow.
when you look at feedlots and they
okay.
feed cows molasses and Skittles and rejected breakfast cereal because it's cheap to feed them in the feedlots, that's what's building the beef that we eat. And they do the same for chickens and hogs. And so...
So it depends what farm it comes from. There's a certain taste for each one, but doesn't that change the prices on the food too as well?
Oh, they're going to charge you as much as they can, no matter what.
So the more expensive food is generally supposed to be the most tastiest?
Yeah, because if you're feeding the cattle cheap ingredients and giving them whatever it is to make them bulk them up for sale and weight for sale when they sell them, it's going to come to us as a lower cost. I mean, it's kind of like buying a used car versus a new car. So you're going to pay more for a new car, and you're going to, pay obviously less for a used car. And I think the same thing goes with quality of food. How much did it cost me as a manufacturer to produce this product? And so can I bring it to the masses at an affordable price? Or if you're an organic farmer and you give your cow massages and you feed them beer and that's obviously, I'm putting more time and investment into this animal to sell it to the market, and so it's going to come to you at a higher cost. And so it's essentially that. But getting back to the snails, it is, well, if you're picking them up off the ground or out of your garden, you don't know exactly how far they've traveled. Were they in your neighbor's yard? Does your neighbor have paint cans? Have they, is there a yard of toxic wasteland? What have these snails been eating? But so you want to clean out, their intestinal tracts, and you want them to, detoxify over a couple days of feeding. Proper food, stuff that and trust. That's one thing. And that could be kind of gross to people because a lot of people don't grow their own vegetables. They don't raise their own chickens. They're not farmers. I mean, for the most part, most people aren't farmers.
How can you tell if, that used the term detox. So I'm going to try to do this. Detox the snail. Okay, so the snail's detoxed.
Yeah.
Is there a certain time period that that the snail's been detoxed?
Oh, it's guesswork.
Okay.
I say 3 days. Someone might say longer.
And then do you, say 3 days and a little bit longer maybe, but 3 days minimum. At least 3 days minimum.
It's guesswork.
Yeah, because it's small.
Yeah, I'm not going to go out and have a toxicology test performed. They're going to charge me $1,500. So.
But their investments now. So everything now I'm looking at it now. You gave me a whole new perspective about going out there to go getting something, to eat.
Right.
That I know who's investing in their produce.
Yeah. Where does the food coming
from?
What's the source? I think everybody should know where the food's coming from.
Okay.
Who's growing it? What corporation is running the large farm, or is it coming from a small local family farm? And what are their practices? Is it organic? Are they putting, pesticides on it? And, these are good questions to know because I want to eat food that's healthy. I want to eat food that I know is relatively pesticide free because, I don't think you can avoid pesticides completely because if you have an organic farm, well, your neighbor may not be an organic farmer, and they'll have their crops sprayed, but there's wind that blows the pesticides over onto your crop. So it's never truly 100% pesticide free, or is what they like to call organic. I mean, to me, when someone says, oh, these vegetables are organic, I'm like, well, they're not minerals, so yes, they are organic. And so,
but do you see what the snail just did? It brought all this out. It just educated us, just on a simple escargot.
Well, again, that's getting back to my philosophy of using storying to teach children or influence them on how to eat and what to eat. But it also opens up so much more. I mean, in cooking, you've got math, you've got history, you've got social studies. The thread of information behind a snail expands, and if you follow it and try to learn as much as you can about how that snail got to your plate, you learn so much. And again, that's another great reason why people need to learn to cook, because everything that is behind it is wonderful. It's information, it's stuff to know. I mean, how many people step into an elevator and actually understand how an elevator works?
Yes.
We just it takes you up, it takes you down. Doors open or don't, and no one puts any thought into it, but it's good to question, what is this?
Well, I got something for you. Okay, we got it was a snail. It was a snail until it becomes detox, and then from detox, you can feed them whatever desired flavor.
I use cornmeal.
Okay, after cornmeal, do you give them anything else before it goes into the pot?
Yeah, a good dose of wine.
See, that's what I was getting at.
Oh, yeah.
So it went from detox. It was a snail that went through a circular moment where it's got the detoxation, and then from detoxation, then you have the chemistry for chefs. That's what you do actually to transform, change the chemistry of the snail, and then the snail goes in the pot for pre-cooking.
Right.
And the pre-cooking, it automatically, as soon as it goes in that pot for pre-cooking, it comes out as escargot because now it's set to be taken apart, put back together, stuffed back in with the garlic and all the flavoring, and off to be served. Wow! So that just sounds good. It's funny. It is. First, seemed like it was gross, picking it up from the ground, and then, but all of a sudden, when you detox and all that, that's investment.
But not everybody has to pick them up off the ground because you can buy them from the can. And then all you have to do Yes, they sell them in the grocery store, some grocery stores.
But then again, how did it get to the can? How did it get to the can?
Well, that's part of the mystery. Where did this can come from, and who's
I think
the company?
I'll leave it to, if I'm going to eat, which
We'll
I'm
leave it
kinda,
to the individual.
Yes. Well, I'm gonna leave it to the chefs. Those like you, sous chefs,
Right.
who know, you know what you're talking about. You know how to
Yeah.
fix it. I'm not going to try a can because even clams or oysters, if they're not done right and they're in a can, they won't taste the same as you go to the store. I mean, not to the store. Go to a restaurant and
Well,
get it.
if I'm doing oysters, I'm going to make sure I'm on the coast and that
Mm-hmm.
oyster boat is right outside the door because I want them fresh. Or if
Very
you're
good.
in New Orleans, there's a lot of great restaurants there, and they've got a lot of the freshwater oysters there.
Oh yes,
Delicious.
that. Florida, Destin.
Yeah, yeah.
Over there, and also there's a not Santa Monica
Right.
in California. There's I'm gonna say El Segundo. Not San Pedro. Is it San Pedro?
Yeah, San Pedro's Los Angeles.
I know.
Right.
I mean, I lived in 116th
Okay.
in San Pedro, but I'm talking about the dock.
I did not make it down to the dock when I was in San Pedro.
Oh, my gosh, it's incredible. It's incredible for the oysters, the taste, everything's
Yeah.
so fresh.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, Southern California has its own cuisine versus Northern California, or even to
Yes.
Central California.
Yes.
Because it being, the seventh largest agricultural producer in the world, I mean, you can get 10 avocados for $1 on the side of the road, sold by an individual, not just lying on the side of the road. I had to clarify that. But, or you can buy a whole flat of strawberries for $5. You get 20 pounds of strawberries.
Well,
you
it's
know?
just like in from Atlantic City to across the other side of the United
Yeah.
States. Peanuts, the different taste in peanuts.
Oh, yeah.
Or
Right.
saltwater taffies.
Oh, yeah.
So-
It's regional. People got their recipes. And,
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's what's exciting,
Yes. Thank you. Hey, you know what? Actually, let's go to the next one because we got two more here. I know we had questions, but
We could
my
talk about
goodness.
snails all day long.
Yes. At escargot, well, now I went past the snails. Since we learned something about it, don't you feel kind of comfortable that we learned something about it? Thanks to you, we learned about we're not eating just garbage.
Right.
The escargot, the snails, on how it's prepped.
Right.
Prepped, and then there's another cycle after that to reach the plate. So it'll have a totally different taste.
This gets in line with my motto of that every recipe has a story.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, that's where the folklore comes in.
Yeah, exactly.
Now we have let's go two more. Sandwich. Now the sandwich here, which is interesting, is the the sandwich here. I would say I would leave that for last, but no, we'll do this one. The Monte Cristo sandwich. Now this came from a story called "The Monte Cristo Murders of Michigan."
Right.
Okay, so the sandwich. Let's go with the sandwich. The sandwich is okay. I'll do it this way. It's a ham, turkey, cheese dipped in egg wash and fried.
Exactly.
Interesting.
The Monte Cristo is a classic breakfast sandwich. So
Yeah,
with
but-
those exact ingredients, imagine a ham, turkey, and cheese between French toast.
Yeah, but what got me it had to do with okay. I was thinking about the astronomers who were up late watching Halley's Comet. When they woke late in the morning after the comet. To make a long story short, they had lunch.
Yes.
But yet they couldn't leave. They couldn't leave. It was during their lunch period.
Yeah.
And they couldn't leave because the comet was coming.
Yeah.
So they created the sandwich,
Yes.
and that became the Monte Cristo sandwich,
Exactly.
which is very interesting. You've got astrologers who
Right.
created a delicatessen, a
A
delicacy.
delicacy. Yeah.
Yes.
So, but let's touch on the story here real quick. So,
Okay.
the Monte Cristo Murders of Michigan. It's your classic escaped mental patient story, and who goes on a killing spree.
Uh-huh.
So this is the urban legend aspect of the story. So late one night, there's a breakfast cook. He's out drinking. but he's realized that it's too late and he's been out drinking too late, that he's never going to make it to his shift in the morning. So his plans is to go into the restaurant after the bars close, get his breakfast prep done, and then sack out in the dry storage room on the sacks of flour until the restaurant opens, and then he can start the breakfast shift. And then when the second breakfast comes in, he can claim that he's sick and he can go home. But unfortunately, while he's listening to the radio and he's cracking eggs and traying bacon, what happens is that he hears of the mental patient's escape and to be on the lookout for him. And that's when he hears thump, thump, drag, thump, thump, drag. And anyway, you can read the story. No spoilers.
Leave the mystery. Excellent.
Leave the mystery.
Leave the mystery.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. That's a nice little twist to it. Reminds me of the movie they got out right now. It was called The Mirage. It's got that nice little twist at the ending of it. Now, that's an awesome sandwich. That's an awesome sandwich.
It is. It's
but it was
one
funny,
of my favorites.
By amateur astrologers, and came up with something brilliant. Lamb. Okay, run out of time here, but let's see if we can get the leg of lamb. The leg of lamb is 1 6-pound leg of lamb, 10 garlic cloves, and you just taught me something, TBSP, 1 tablespoon kosher salt, 2 tablespoons fresh rosemary chopped, and ½ teaspoon of black pepper. Okay, so tell me something about this leg of lamb, because that's kind of interesting. I love it when I'm at Greektown up here in Michigan or down by Detroit.
Leg of lamb is, lamb is one of my favorite things to eat. Years ago, I was in the Cornwall region of England in a town called Mevagissey. And we were staying at this house, and the local butcher had a leg of lamb for sale. And so I bought it. And my philosophy with lamb is don't try to do too much with it. Just keep it simple. A little salt, a little pepper, a little bit of rosemary, roast and pop it in the oven. I think I said 375. I do 350 to 375. And just cook it till it's about a little over medium rare. Slice it, and that's all you need to do, because to me, it's a delicacy. And it's just so flavorful naturally. You don't want to, as they say, adulterate it with, too many sauces or, too many sauces.
So you don't have to handle it really like wild game, like deer meat and stuff like that? Venison?
No.
It's two different animals, or two different...
Oh, yeah, totally. Okay. I mean, venison, you cook it super rare, or you cook it till it's, 30 seconds or 3 hours, as we say in the business.
Okay.
Yeah, because you're going to have to cook it to the point where it's tender now, or if you cook it rare, it's still tender. But I find that when you cook venison medium, it gets a little tough.
I want you to remember the good times, those filled with laughter. The only way to lessen the pain is for you to cling to the happy times we shared. Picture me laughing so hard that tears race down my cheeks. Picture me running through an open field with dandelions all around and the sun beaming down on me. Even though I can't be with you, I'll always be a part of you, and you a part of me.
the local parish leader comes by to check on his marriage and says, well, where's your wife? And so he makes up stories. And time again, the parishioner comes by and says, well, what happened to your wife? And he's so guilt-ridden that he let his wife be stolen, but he's also fearful that he'll be tried as a witch.
Yes.
He ends up running away, and the story takes off from there.
Very good. You had me some just mystified by
Well, they're all
great.
wonderful stories. There's 75 stories in there. 75 original folktale stories, and 75 there's a couple stories in there with 2 recipes. So it's actually 82 recipes in the book. And it was a lot of fun to write. I mean, just the research behind it, learning everything I could about, the dish that I had chosen. Often when I was writing the story, I would think, oh, well, some guy gets his wife stolen by fairies. What happens? And then how's he going to get out of it? Anyway, it came up with leg of lamb, and that's the solution to the story. I'm not going to say what he does with the leg of lamb, but, or the lynch.
So the story came before the ingredient?
It develops naturally. I came up with the idea. I'm like, well, if there was a guy doing this or something happened to this girl, or maybe somebody wants something or doesn't want something, and what would they do that's related to food to get out of it? And so I write in the genre of folklore or fairy tale, tall tale, urban legend. I've got my bathtub brisket story in there where the woman smokes her brisket in the bathtub to ward off the evil spirit of her dead husband.
Oh, that's deep.
Right. Well, the fun thing is that they had a terrible marriage, right? And so she fed him brisket until he had a heart attack. And so every year on the anniversary of his death, she smokes the brisket in the bathtub, and the smoke is kind of like a cleansing, like how some people burn sage to cleanse a room, right? Well, she's smoking a brisket.
You know what? But on that note, I'm going to have you come back again. You've got multiple books. You've got multiple folklore tales and all types of stuff.
Thank you.
I mean, I just can't get enough. And you know what? As a matter of fact, again, I'm glad to have you on the show. Yeah. Again, I'm glad to have you on the show. I'm going to come back as soon as possible. Everybody, what I'd like for you to do is, if you get a chance, I'm going to go to not just our television website, but it's easier and faster if you get onto our Facebook page on APN TV Media. If you got any questions for Eric Johnson, our sous chef Eric Johnson, go ahead and connect with him and ask some questions away. How about that?
It's a deal.
It's a deal.
It's a deal.
And all right. And on that note, stay blessed, and we will see all of you next week.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you, Steve. Yeah. Coming back here, seeing you is like this.
In a perfect world where I control it, give me your heart there and I would hold it. But I know that just can't be reality. But please, don't you wake my daydream, 'cause it's so real it seems. Maybe someday I'll get my head from the clouds, but for now I'll just daydream. If you said to jump, then I will do it. Right into the fire and walk straight through it. If you knew, I bet that that's just what you would say. I guess the only thing for me to do is never let you know just how I'm feeling, 'cause I don't want to know if you don't feel the same. It's a shame. Don't you wake my daydream, 'cause it's so real it seems. Maybe someday I'll get my head from the clouds, but for now I'll just daydream. 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 There's a place inside my mind unseen, dreams of you and I that just can't be, but I can keep them safe and locked away inside, inside. But don't you wake my daydream. Oh, so real it seems. Maybe someday I'll get my head from the clouds, but for now I'll just daydream. Don't you wake my daydream.